What's up, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video. The top 10 roller coasters at Knott's Berry Farm. Knott's Berry Farm, they have exactly 10 roller coasters, and they actually have a pretty good collection for what they have. They could have some more roller coasters, but they are landlocked. But they have actually a pretty solid collection of thrilling and family coasters. Number 10 is the kid coaster, Timberline Twister. This coaster was built in 1983, I believe, and it's still a pretty good kid coaster to this day. It's pretty small, good for the kids, not the best for the families, but it's good for the younger ones who are getting into roller coasters. Number 9 is the Wild Mouse of the Park, Ghostrider. Kind of a weird name, but this coaster has a nice drop at the beginning of the ride, after the lift hill, and then you reach the switchbacks, and they look kind of slow in the POVs. It looks kind of sluggish, but maybe I'm wrong. But Ghostrider, it's an okay ride. Pretty good for the families. You just ride it once for the credit and don't ride it again if you're a coaster enthusiast. Yeah. Number 8 is actually kind of an underrated ride at Knott's Berry Farm. No one really talks about this ride. Jaguar. This is actually a pretty cool family coaster. You go through some tunnels and buildings and stuff. It's pretty cool. Plus, this ride is a nice long ride, and it looks insane if you ride this coaster in the back row. And this looks like a pretty underrated ride. It's a nice long ride. Overall, pretty good family coaster, and I think back row would be the best on this ride. Number 7 is Sierra Sidewinder, the spinning coaster of the park. Another good family coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. This coaster has some nice spinning elements, but this coaster is a little short compared to the Pandemonium clones. But still, it's a pretty good spinning coaster. Overall, it's a solid ride. Number 6 is the standard Vekoma Boomerang. You could put this higher up on the list, but I've heard about this ride being a little bit of a rougher ride than the average Vekoma Boomerang. But it seems like an okay ride, actually. You got your nice forceful vertical loop, the cobra roll, your standard forwards and backwards lift hills. It's your standard Vekoma Boomerang. Number 5 is Pony Express. Now we're in the top 5, by the way. But Pony Express is an amazing family launch coaster. One of the 3 launch coasters at Knott's Berry Farm. This is the first launch coaster on this list. And you're riding on a pony on this ride, which is pretty cool. You launch at a pretty good speed, go through some turns, and then you hit the brakes. It's a shorter ride, but definitely a pretty cool family launch coaster, and it's pretty exhilarating too. Number 4, you may be surprised by, you could consider this ride the best at the park. It's Silver Bullet. This coaster looks actually kind of similar to Raptor's layout at Cedar Point because of the vertical loop and the cobra roll. But this coaster is very intense, has some good G-force. Overall, Silver Bullet is a solid B&M invert, very forceful and intense, very fun. I recommend you ride this when you're here, but it could have a rattle due to its cobra roll. It could be a nasty cobra roll. But still, this ride's very forceful and intense. If it was a bit smoother and it didn't have a rattle on the cobra roll or anything, I think this ride would be higher up on the list. But number 3, you may be surprised by, but it's Montezooma's Revenge. You could put this ride at number 4 or number 5, but I put it at number 3. And here's why. This coaster is very forceful. It has a nice vertical loop, which you go through forwards and backwards. And that launch looks pretty good. Overall, I really like these Schwarzkopf shuttle loops. And I wish Tidal Wave was never removed at Six Flags Great America back in 1991, where it was replaced by Batman the Ride. It would have been cool, but oh well. Montezooma's Revenge, one of the few shuttle loops remaining out there. Very fun ride. The vertical loop is very forceful. And number 2 is Ghostrider. Now, Ghostrider, it's a pretty good wooden coaster. Back in 2015 and in the past, it was your standard CCI wooden coaster. Not a bad ride, it was just okay. It would have probably went into the 5th or 6th spot, but now it's at number 2 because it recently got a GCI retrack. It has some forceful turns or sections. Overall, it's a solid ride. Definitely one of the best coasters at Knott's Berry Farm, and it's a historic coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. It's the Ghost Town wooden coaster. Yeah. But what could be number 1? Xcelerator. I could call this coaster a combo coaster. Combo coasters are like 2 coasters put into one, and that's what the Xcelerator is. It has a few overbank turns like Millennium Force does, 2 overbank turns in the middle and end of the ride, and it has an 80-mile-per-hour launch in Top Hat and the drop kind of like Top Thrill Dragster. So it's basically 2 Cedar Point roller coasters in one, which is pretty cool about Xcelerator. It has an amazing 80-mile-per-hour launch, Top Hat, drop. Overall, very good coaster. Definitely the best coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.